In Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, in week 3, she talks a little bit about the idea of inner compass. This idea that each one of us has our own inner compass that guides us towards our highest good, that guides us towards our health, that guides us towards our creative dreams and goals. And today we are going to explore how you can use your art journal to tap into this compass. So welcome to Creative Spirit Gathering. I'm your host, Jen Hutchins, founder of Unity Arts Ministry. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to inspiring personal transformation through creative enrichment and spiritual principles. You can give to support our ministry online at unityartsministry.org. And for those of you presently in the Zoom room with me, I'm going to put a little hot link for you in the chat bar as well. So thank you in advance for all the ways that you help support our mission. Yep, maybe it's not showing up. There it is. Whether it be through your tithes, through your time, and through your talents. We have such an amazing community, and it is truly the community that makes this ministry possible. So thank you for all the ways that you give and support. So I went very literal with the compass theme. You'll see in my journal, sort of this compass rose after I read this piece of inner compass in the book. I turned to my journal to process that. What does that feel like for me? And this is what started to come out. Now, I have to share something real quick with you guys, sort of a side tangent, but remember last week we talked about synchronicity, this idea of two things that don't seem to be related coming together in sort of an unseen way. And maybe we could say it's coincidence, but a lot of times it's more than coincidence. And that's what we were talking about. If you missed last week's recording, you can go back and watch it online. So I did this little compass rose in my journal last night, started my project. And then this morning I was going through this stack of things in my studio. And one of the things that I pulled out was this little magazine. It's like our local, like community center sort of thing. And there was a class that I remember seeing in there. So I stuck this aside, and today I was like, oh, I'll pull that out. I'll go sign up for that class. Up here, can you see it? It's a compass rose. So I'm definitely going to sign up for the class, paying attention to those synchronicities and paying attention to my own North Star, right? That guiding north that leads me towards my highest goods. Who knows what'll come of the class? But some of you may have read an article that I wrote in the Daily Word magazine a few years back. And it was all about the idea of that when I first began my meditation practices, I had a really hard time stilling what we call the monkey mind, right? I'd say, it wasn't just monkeys. It was like this 3-ring circus. I'd sit down to meditate and be like, okay, I close my outer eyes, and then inside it was just, and I need to do this and that and that and that, and all the wild animals came out, and this 3-ring circus happening in my head. And what we know is that meditation, right, it's not just about being still in that moment, but it's the fact that when we are still, when we allow ourselves to be still, that's when we tap in to that inner compass that Julia Cameron's talking about. But it doesn't just happen through meditation. What I found was that when I sat for a silent meditation early on in my practice, again, the circus would start going, and I couldn't tame the wild beasts that were happening in my head. But when I lean into creative practice, I get in that state of creative flow, that artist brain activity. And in those spaces, I'm able to be present. So what I realized was sitting and thinking of all the things that I have to do on my to-do list was not serving me, but spending time in my art journal and being present, slowing down and letting the materials be part of that process that guided me to my own inner stillness, that became my deeper meditation practice. And as I began doing that, then I found when I did sit for meditation, those voices weren't there. It became this back and forth where my creative practices were serving my spiritual practices, and my spiritual practices were serving my creative practices. And so this idea of leaning into your inner compass, right? We could call that your intuition, your wise self within, maybe even your guides, right? Whatever words or however you connect with that part of your being that guides you, that provides wisdom, that says, stay away from this, but bring more of this into your life, that helps you understand and determine what are your creative dreams, what are your passions, and once you do, how to live them. Like this inner compass, this guidance of pointing to our true north is available to us if we become still enough to listen to it. And for me, that has been using creative practice to really tap into that voice. Now, doing something like this, I pull it up really close. You can see what I did was I started with really sketchy light lines in the middle as I was sort of doodling out the idea of this compass rose. And then I just began outlining that, pulling the color out and forming repetitions, then moved into these little lines going between. Now, this whole piece total took me about 30 minutes, which is what we usually have for our process together. But in that 30 minutes, I went from my morning of, like I said, I was clearing through this stack of papers. And I had started a little bit of this last night, getting the idea on the page, but then spent that 30 minutes today being really present with it. And I felt this shift in my being, right? I didn't have like the answers to life, the universe, and everything in 30 minutes, but I had clarity for myself. And in that, I was able to sort of listen to what is mine to focus on, what are the core things that I really want to be focusing my energy on right now. And that's what came out for me in the text that I ended up writing around the edge here. And you don't have to create a compass rose, right? It was really a literal way of processing your own inner compass. Maybe that does resonate for you. But I invite you to think about this idea of repetition, because when we're doing something on the page that is like a rote, like repetitive process, I'm seeing head nods in the room, you know where I'm going, right? It allows the mind to really just still itself, because we're not thinking about how do I create, this big elaborate piece, how do I make a rose look like a rose? How do I shade this properly? Those types of art forms are beautiful and can also drop us into flow. But when we're really looking to tap into that space where we're opening into that inner wisdom, we want something that's really just slows us down, and something repetitive like this type of program patterning or mandala type artwork can really help to just still the mind and allow you to be present. And if you allow yourself to be present for 30 minutes, right, just presence, you'll be amazed at the clarity that comes through either in that moment or, maybe it'll hit you later today. You're having lunch and it's like, oh, this aha comes through. And it's not because you're eating lunch, it's because you took the time to presence and become aware of this inner compass that you have within you. So I'm seeing thumbs up, I'm seeing head nods, you all are ready to roll. And so I did actually want to give you a little extra time with this today. So we're going to keep the lesson short and move into our meditation. I know, you all are just like, more time for art, please. So we'll move into our meditation and then really just let that meditation continue onto the page as you just explore what is coming forward from your own inner compass. And remembering, again, it's just about tapping in. It's like recognizing, okay, I've got this tool that I've been carrying around with me. Like I'm going to take it out and open it up and see where it's pointing me. So just recognizing that you have this tool and beginning to lean into your own inner guidance and inner wisdom. So take all of these ideas, right? Let them settle from your head. Feel them come down to your heart. as we allow ourselves now to drop into this space of meditation. You may wish to close your outer eyes or soften your gaze. Take a couple of deep, conscious breaths. Feel your feet flat on the ground if that's comfortable for you. And simply take a moment to rest, to pay attention to the stillness of your own being. Breathing in and out into silence. The inner light guides my way. The inner light guides my way. We hold this as an affirmation of truth as we gently open our eyes, bring our awareness back to this now moment, and take this energy of awareness onto the page as you explore your inner compass.